Alright, hello
5
ladies and
seconds
gentlemen,
remaining.
my name is Ditone, here to bring you another cast.
Reserve
Today
time.
I'm going to be casting the IXDL, mainly following around my friend Sponi. But yeah, there will be no bias in this cast whatsoever. But regardless, let's go over the bands picked so far. We see a Batrider and Lifestealer band to start out. Pretty standard bands. But what you want to do with a Batrider and Lifestealer band is you want to force another hero out, which would be the Nyx or the Wisp. So that's the standard idea would be, alright, we want the Wisp, we can deal with having a Nyx assassin on the field. Or the typical one is you ban out something like a Lifestealer and the Nyx assassins, then you can force out the Batrider for your team. But neither team seems to be caring about that right now. As we also see, we have a Coddle and a Magnus ban, making it so that the mid lane is not just this wash lane. There actually can be some volatility. And the Keeper ban, because I think everyone knows that Keeper of the Light and Phantom Lancer has been the scourge of the professional scene recently. This isn't a professional game, so we see the Nyx Assassin and the Darkseer getting picked up. Not saying these aren't good picks, but I'm saying second and third, kind of strange to see. And I always say strange because normally you see them much earlier. But so Dire so far has decided to go for a Shadow Demon and a Chaos Knight pickup. Shadow Demon mainly to just deal with that first pick Wisp, because you can disrupt whoever Wisp brings in.
10 seconds.
So it pretty much ruins half the time of the teleport. And then the Chaos Knight pickup simply to deny the Wisp, the obvious combination with the Wisp. And honestly, with another good support, maybe another stunner, or something, then sorry, I'm getting cold at the same time because I forgot to turn off my phone. So let me just respond to this so that people aren't gonna be angry at me.
10 seconds remaining. Dire team ban.
Alright, professional casting 101. Anyways, but yeah, with another good support, Chaos Knight does actually do unbelievably well, at least in the early to mid game. He just doesn't have that godly power that you see when combined with a Wisp. Anyways, then they also pick up the Lone Druid, another very, very solid offlaner, or easy laner, or mid, or jungler. I mean, just can be put anywhere and does amazing in pretty much every lane. There we go. We see we have the Puck ban out from the Dire. Probably looking at mids now, because unless they want to run that Nyx Assassin in middle, they're not going to have that much success. Or they just don't have a middle, other than maybe Darkseer. So, once again, very up in the air. Then we see the Lena and the Shark bans. Very, very standard bans if you have a Shadow Demon. Those heroes couple too easily with the Shadow Demon because of the guaranteed stuns.
Radiant team pick.
And taking out the Weaver, just another really, really elusive hero, and without as many reliable stuns. And this is what I was going to actually suggest. I was wondering why they hadn't banned out the Tiny, because Tiny Wisp, if anyone recalls the International 2, is pretty much the reason why eHome even made a splash. And for a really long time, it was why Dignitas was just like unstoppable, because AoE's Tiny is kind of insane. But it doesn't matter right now. You have Tiny Wisp combination. Could be going mid, could be going easy lane. My guess is that it's Tiny Wisp easy lane with the Nyx Assassin as ooh, I'm really liking I'm a Sheep. I'm not gonna lie, I'm liking I'm a Sheep. Ogre Magi, just another guaranteed stun to couple with the Chaos Knight. Not to mention the pro scene Ogre Magi build has been to skip his slow because of the additional mana cost that they just, I don't know, that just ogres don't like having to spend. It makes it so you don't actually have to get mana boots, or you're not as reliant on mana boots. and just go for Bloodlust instead, so then make that Chaos Knight and that bear significantly more scary. And the Shadow Demon can also disrupt the target so that the Ogre Magi can get in range, which is one of the main downfalls of this Q. Not to mention, the Soul Catcher will make it so it does a ton more damage, and it is a very high damage nuke. Yeah, it is a 275 damage nuke, so not bad at all. It isn't actually that expensive, so yeah. But anyways, have our last pick coming out of Quick Peek and Back, QPNB,
Queen.
and we have their mid, Queen of Pain. So it'll be an easy lane Tiny Wisp with a Nyx on support doing most of the pulling, and then Darkseer on the off lane trying to get as much experience as possible, but considering the tri lane from I don't know, from the Dire, ooh, and a mid Zeus. Alright, so this is just gonna be a fun game. There's no other real technical way of saying it, but Sponi's on Shadow Demon. He has openly professed to me how much he hates playing support in this league, so this makes me really happy, because I'm an awful friend. Anyways, we're just waiting for the last 3 members of Quick Peek and Back. Go ahead and select their heroes, and we'll jump on into this game.
10 seconds remaining.
This actually might be an aggressive tri lane with Shadow Demon, Chaos Knight, Ogre Magi with Lone Druid on the easy lane and Zeus, Zeus in the middle. Because Zeus does okay against Queen of Pain. Oh, just let me just get rid of all of this jargon. Anyways, so to start, we have me forgetting to change my options, and also being really popular and getting an invite. Decline. Game interface.
God be with you.
Alright, let's run over who we have. We have Watery Aura playing the Ogre Magi, Zhao Yun playing the Lone Druid. We have Sponi, the Boner King, playing the Shadow Demon, and I'm a Sheep playing the Zeus in middle. I'm not actually sure about the Zeus v Quap matchup. I think it works out okay. I think it's a pretty even trade unless the Quap gets a couple of good
30 seconds to show
good stings off. But then on the bottom lane we have Fierce playing the Chaos Knight, running the aggressive tri lane with the already introduced Ogre Magi and the Shadow Demon. On the side of QPNB, we have A-Town playing the support Nyx Assassin, who might actually get caught out here. No, he'll be able to get out just fine. The Quap on the easy lane, played by Flyers, and Bueller, and Sandsign, I believe. Yeah, Sandium. That's what we're calling him, Sandium. Good old Sandium. Playing the Wisp with Quin playing as the Darkseer, and oh, the cute little lane prediction miss, or Tiny. So I'm not actually, I think this is actually a much better lane for Zeus. I know why they put the Quap down here, which is they want the much more elusive hero, because it's much harder to pin down a Quap. But as long as that Chaos Knight saves his Reality Rift for when the Quap links away, and they can get another good sort of disruption or something else off. Actually, look, we have a level 1 gank coming out on the Bueller, possibly. Ogre Magi hobbling his way over. Gonna go ahead and have the disruption go out. Stun goes off. Gonna go and see if they have enough damage. Doesn't. Oh, actually, they will have enough with the Zeus Lightning. That'll be a first blood on Bueller in the middle lane. And you know what? I actually don't like this lane setup at all. Fierce, however, is going to get initiated upon and probably will go down here. Ooh, actually, nice 2-second stun coming out from him. Might have just saved his life. Yeah, it actually will have. I thought for sure with the slow they would have had enough, but doesn't look like it. So anyways, Bob having an okay time down in here. supports rotating back, and a quick pause coming out. And what's gonna happen here? That's actually another kill for the Zeus in the middle lane. So well played out of Zeus. Zeus has actually done really well. 2 kills in the first minute and 44 seconds, so not bad at all. And this lane is, I want to say it's a win for Lone Druid, because Lone Druid actually just has 2 heroes, and so in 1v1 matchups he kind of has this advantage. However, Darkseer can do quite a bit to interrupt his farm, because it's Darkseer, and Darkseer does things. But he didn't actually go for any mana potions at level, or any clarities at level 1. So he won't be able to spam that Ion Shot as quickly as he'd want. But he will have his Soul Ring up very soon. So he will be able to be spamming out that level 2 and that level 3 Ion Shell. And what's going on here? We see Wisp probably going to get... No. Wisp going to be totally fine, bottling up with that Tiny. Meanwhile, Chaos Knight kills off the Queen of Pain down in bottom lane. Did end up using the Reality Rift, and I'm sorry, the Wisp does end up dying in his middle lane. This Tiny Wisp playing way too aggressive. Tiny needs to get level 5 before he can really do things, and as I say that, he goes and just punches the Zeus, and he kind of falls over. And that goes the killing spree, but not too much lost. Actually, yeah, quite a bit lost. It seems like he didn't buy before. Before dying. Anyways, he had a smoke down in the middle lane, but either because he knows he's low, or because he no longer sees the supports on bottom lane, he's going to rotate back prematurely. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and just get picked off here by that Zeus. That disruption with the Zeus combo is actually working out unbelievably well. I have to say, it just does good. Like, I don't know what else to say. And this is the problem with having Quap on the easy lane, and this Nyx not just constantly pulling, or at least getting the counter wards to de-ward, because he has enough for him. You'd have to, like, accept that he'd be a little bit far. Actually, no, what am I talking about? Wisp has counter wards. He really needs to counter ward this. This Nyx can just pull, so this Quap can get a level advantage on the Chaos Knight, because right now, even though they're in this offensive tri-lane, they have like the same levels on, and now splitting up, gonna go ahead and manage to take down the Quap without many problems. So Ogre should be able to go ahead and punch this, maybe. Yeah, he's gonna go ahead and be able to punch that Nyx assassin to death. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, we see that Zeus, I'm assuming, no, just
Radiant's mid tower's coming up.
No, he just, yeah. So I died like over there. And Zeus managed to get his arcanes now, and kills the Tiny. So really interestingly played by and well played, you know. Well played by the Zeus, realizing the Tiny was really low, as we could see, but he can't. And then just going and buying the mana boots. He probably could have actually used bottle charge to get up there, but it was nice and cheeky with the buying of the arcanes. Meanwhile, we see that Darkseer has actually been keeping on par with the Lone Druid. Makes sense, because exactly that, because you can just keep vacuuming. You only need about 1 to 2 points in Surge, and then you can just keep vacuuming the Lone Druid and his bear into the Ion Shell. And when Lone Druid doesn't have his super bear form, then he actually is really squishy. Notice he only has 682 health at this level, and compared to the 815 out of the Ogre Mashai. No, that's not the best example, because Ogre has like a huge health gain, but still, it exists. And Tempted Pull, not actually getting much, just denying the range creep. At this point, Lone Druid should constantly have a, oh, this is the stupid build. I have been on this Lone Druid for a while, and just noticed how stupid this guy's build is. Okay. Interesting. Meanwhile, mid lane we have another engagement. Gonna go and see Io gonna get disrupted, and gonna get out just fine. Actually, no, because Tiny tossed him back in. So now Zeus is gonna get double kill with his ulti combined with most of his combo. Very, very well played, and out of the Dire, but not out of the Radiant. That toss was completely unwarranted and just cost Io his life. Meanwhile, we see that this Lone Druid decided to be bad, and He just needs boots on his. He should have gotten boots on his bear before the tranquils, but it makes sense because you're against a dark seer. But really, what you want to be doing at level 6 is have 3 points in your spirit bear, 2 points in your synergy, 1 point in your true form, and then go back and get that level 4 in your bear, so you can push down towers with the war cry. You get out of the true form to give the extra damage to the bear, and the bear already has a ton of extra damage, not only because of the synergy, but because it is level 4 and it attacks faster. Anyways, we have a gank out on the top lane. That's just really dead. Surged Tiny is scary, but this mid lane has just been a complete and total failure for QPNB. Okay. Anyways, Zeus now almost already at his this Veil of Discord, going to be extremely solid for his entire team because of that ogre, the ogre's blast, the Chaos Knight's damage. There's not really much out of this, and not really much out of the Shadow Demon, but just even Zeus's combo itself just becomes ridiculously stronger. So yeah. So I really like this item choice coming out of Zeus. Not to mention it also makes him a tad tankier, just armor-wise, and you can just give him that little extra oomph of sorts. But yeah, we see that this Lone Druid not playing nearly as well as he should. He could have actually killed this Darkseer a couple of times. If he gets a Tangle on his bear, then if he manages to get level 3 on his bear and get the entangle, then he can actually start killing that Darkseer. Meanwhile, the mid lane Io manages to couple with the Tiny, who now is level 8, so his combo is doing quite a bit more damage. So managing to get that pick off. We do see both the supports on the side of the Dire are level 6 though, so that's actually a huge advantage. If we look over at the hero level, we see that the entire, like, both the supports from the side of QPNB. Actually, meanwhile, we have little skirmish down over here. No, not going to be a blast out, even though there's the soul catcher on it. Interesting. Probably could have just used it for the harassment, but regardless, see if mana. Oh, yeah, he had plenty of mana. Oh, he has arcanes. So, damn, that's a very rich ogre, and a very poor Sponi. Anyways, we have another gank up on top.
Radiant's mid tower.
I believe that was just a Tiny walking up there, or them TPing to their Q1. However, actually, wait. There's an option I forgot to turn on. I apologize. It's probably been making your experience tad
Dire's top tower's getting beat down.
What's it called? Unoptimal. Also, missing kills is very unoptimal. So meanwhile, we see that in mid we have the disruption. Or no, not the disruption. What the hell am I talking about? Just Zeus killing off the Nyx assassin, but however he does trade it to the now getting increasingly fed Tiny, ish, but only ish. And yes, I agree with that comment quite a bit. But regardless, there's also a kill down on the Quap. That was where the disruption was, and the purge. But Ogre Magi going for the coveted Orb of Venom build for the extreme slow damage, and the fact that you can never die. So now we have Lone Druid with his Entangle form, and his 2 points in Rapid, which don't do much. He's not exactly bum rushing towers. Oh, I'm so sorry. Meanwhile, down on bottom, Queen of Pain goes ahead and dies off to the 4-person gank. The tri-lane +1 gank. And yeah, they should be able to finally take a tower down. I think that this tower isn't long for this world. However, blue does TP in, and I question that highly because of the reality riv that isn't in range. But yeah, this Chaos Knight, instead of attacking the towers, decided to run a nice little figure 8 through the trees, deciding that it would help. Oh, we actually have a gank from the Nyx assassin onto the Zeus, and actually the mana burn didn't get off in time, so Zeus still gets his ulti off, and yeah, but he still ends up falling. And Sponi is now going to go ahead and sacrifice himself for the greater good right here. just as part of ritual sacrifice to make sure his team doesn't lose anything else. However, somebody didn't get that memo, and the Chaos Knight looks like he's about to die. Wisp PvP in, but Queen of Pain still managed to take it down, and actually will still die to the tower. That toss making it so he couldn't blink away. Well done, Tiny. I am impressed by this Tiny's play on just this deep physical level. But regardless, after that engagement, we do see that the hero levels, which are pretty much the story of this game, have started to even up, and in fact, Dire's now ahead with just just in terms of the heroes they need to care about. Yeah, your supports can be a tad under leveled, and that Queen of Pain is significantly under leveled. She needs to have like her level 4 blink right now, or at least getting closer to her level 4 blink. She needs to be able to have her level 2 Scream of Pain, or was it Wave of Terror? Nope, that's, oh my god, Sonic Wave. Oh dear. I'm so sorry. But regardless, see that the mids are the same level. Alright, we have a Reality Rift onto a single creep. Regardless, the mids are the same level, so that's kind of expected. I'd say that's actually working out more in favor of QPNB because they had a Wisp they were dual laning mid, and the mids are still the same level. So I'd still say that Zeus is a little bit ahead, but the Tiny definitely did a good job. The 2 solos, Darkseer definitely won that. Alright, we're just gonna see Ogre get picked out here. Actually, really nice disruption, preventing the toss. Gonna get the stun off onto the Tiny, but just complete and total lack of communication coming out. And Chaos Knight's gonna stun a completely different target. Gonna go ahead and stun the Tiny here, but the wall vacuum into death combo is very strong. And even though the anonymous team of the Dire did really well in the beginning of the game, their lone druid just isn't farmed at all. Still only has boots on his bear, saving up 1700, which makes me think he's gonna go for a Radiance, which is an even worse idea. People are just playing cheeky, knowing he can get all of his mana back from this Wisp, and no one's farming this lane here. Like, that lane needs to be getting farmed, specifically by this lone druid who just can't do anything in the lane right now. You just say, sorry guys, you guys need to fight 4v5 for a while. And we see a Reality Rift coming out onto A-Town. Zeus's ulti going off, but unfortunately no one's dying right now except for the people on the side of the Dire. Bear gets tossed back onto the bear and dies. Meanwhile, Darkseer is running down the Zeus with the Ion Shell. Avalanche goes off, so able to bring down Zeus. He's on extraordinarily low health. Meanwhile, the Ion Shell takes down the Shadow Demon, and that's a 4-person wipe so far from the side of the Dire. Just everyone's low, but there's been no focus. Now they're going to TP back to base, get full health and mana, and probably pick off the Zeus. They seem to have forgotten that they're going to be coming back, and here they are. So we're going to see some damage come out onto that Wisp. Now Tiny completely trapped over here with literally nothing to help him whatsoever. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second, Chaos Bolt goes out, gonna be able to pick him off. So 3 return kills after a buyback and 4 kills. So really close engagement. Still say that goes the way of QPNB because they got so many levels out of that. Every hero was alive when those heroes were getting kills, whereas only the Chaos Knight and the Zeus were alive for a bunch of the cleanup kills. Meanwhile, we're going to see Sponi go ahead just a little bit too far out. No wards to spot out this Nyx. Darkseer going to go ahead and take the kill with a vacuum. I agree with that decision just because Nyx is support, and even though he needs his boots, the Darkseer needs all of the supporting items for the rest of the team. Probably going for Pipe next to help deal with that Zeus's extra damage. And we see that, yes, I believe, I don't know Veil of Discord's exact recipe cause. No, he's still 50 gold off, and we see he hasn't had much progress, if any progress at all towards it. Now we're going to see all of these heroes get caught out in this middle lane. Zeus with no escapes, just going to go ahead and melt to these 3 heroes on the Radiant side. So well played out of them. Just finding nice little pickoffs and stuff like that is what you need. And what the Dire need is wards. They need a ward here to catch out for that kind of gank. They need a ward here to see if this area is going to get ganked at all, and so they can farm that. And they need a ward here or here, so they can farm this lane easily. But none of that's happening at all right now, and instead the supports are being, I don't know, they have the wards, they just need to actually get them. 3-second stun, I don't know, fierce, counter stun by the with the impale by the Nyx. Tries to buy the wisp enough time, but with the ogre coming in, not enough time was bought at all. Now PF Flyers trying to find a gank potential coming out of here, and they're gonna go ahead and go for it. Disruption just a tad too late out of Sponi. Would have been amazing if he could have gotten it before the sonic wave went out, but still, wall and scream dropped for no payoff. Right now, this is QPNB's time to be extremely aggressive, and they're just not. Like, little things like that are exactly what the Dire needs to stay in this game. Because right now, this lone druid almost has his arm on his bear. That's at 18 minutes with the easy lane farm, and he's 0-4. This lone druid has just been completely shut down, and he really shouldn't have been, because the Darkseer is coming for like the fights over here. So what Lone Druid should have said is, you know what, now I have literally uncontested farm, I'm going to go ahead and take all of this, because you know what, I'm Lone Druid and I can do that. But instead of Max getting his Spirit Bear so he can have his Crush, he decided to go for a Max and Synergy, I guess thinking he needed the extra health from the True Form. But once again, I don't agree with that decision at all. I am very much a cookie cutter Lone Druid lover, because what he does so well, and you don't need to do anything cheeky with him. Anyways, we're gonna go ahead and see a multicast with the with the Soul Catcher to just completely annihilate that Nyx. I do think the Shadow Demon needs 1 point in the Shadow Poisoning, because Shadow Poison gives vision, and it can be really helpful for spotting out ganks and stuff like that. Especially when he was in the middle lane, he could have been sending out Shadow Poisons in different directions. Make sure he was safe farming there. Meanwhile, we're going to see these two get vacuumed back on in. Sponi's going to drop with literally no contest. Veil of Discord was dropped, but this tiny went for a very, very quick BKB, which is a very interesting decision. And actually does get the root off. He won't die though, because there was no focus fire, and he just pussied off, to be perfectly frank. But now the Surge, with like the literally no lockdown they have outside of those stuns, realized they were all wasted, so he's like, alright, cool, let's do this. So yeah, that's what's happened. Meanwhile, we're gonna see this Nyx try and get a kill off onto the Lone Druid, but really nice disruption gonna come out. I'm gonna go ahead and keep him alive for just a little bit longer. Meanwhile, it just nukes him down with, I believe, the Veil of Discord, but regardless, does just use his nukes to bring him down. Sponi did drop the Sentry Ward just in case the Nyx Assassin went back invisible. Anyways, we're gonna go ahead and see Bueller get disrupted up after Zeus dies, and that multicast with the disruption doing a crazy amount of damage. That's 50% of a 50% increase of what was that? 550 damage. So that's doing almost 1,000 damage and doesn't even need the multicast. It pretty much just gives him a triple multicast, even though it was only a double. So lucky, but also just unbelievably well done out of this combination. It just actually seems to work really well. It's just a crazy high damage new combination. Meanwhile, we're gonna see the Nyx. Sponi gonna be the victim of history and gonna just go ahead and get picked off in the middle lane once again. Let's go ahead and look at the EXP, and that's kind of what I thought. 5,000 EXP lead in the favor of the Radiant. We can see that's been like that for most of this game, and it's just because they've been getting the better out of their lanes. Their tri-lane actually didn't end up killing nearly as much as it needed to. Didn't get the tower, even though mid was getting kills, he was getting kills on under-leveled heroes, while they were getting kills on an over-leveled Zeus. Anyways, gonna go ahead and have Ogre picked off really easily here, but actually I believe he was blocked in there until that reality rift, but the ulti comes out of Zeus, and he does manage to go ahead and get picked off, maybe. Meanwhile, AA Town is going to go ahead and fall, but so is the Lone Druid to the Wisp, and that is a dead co-op. So meanwhile, 2 for 3 trade favoring the side of the Dire. I tried to look for a team name, but I realized they are still unnamed. So here we are. Interesting engagement coming out. I think that they could have picked off the Darkseer much easily and wouldn't have needed to buy back out of the Zeus. I believe he did buy back. Zeus also actually needing another item or two. Still think he should probably... I think a Hex. That's what Zeus just needs right now. They need something to help lock down this Tiny. Meanwhile, on the bottom lane, speaking of Tiny, gonna pop the BKB and gonna go ahead and also get this T2 tower in addition to an Ogre and first hit Scraggy. We see tons of wards coming out of the Radiant on the Dire just on the side. What they need to do is they need to make this area safe, so that Lone Druid can really just get farmed up because he still has nothing. 1,000 gold and an armlet at 22 minutes isn't something. He needs to have a Basher, he needs to have a Maelstrom, he needs to have, I don't know, just something else. Even a Vlad's would actually work out pretty well, just because of the fact that there's so much melee on the side of the Dire. Meanwhile, we hear a Wisp TP out into literally the entire enemy team. Disruption goes off to save him. Still just a little too slow, so he couldn't avoid the extra auto attack. Zeus going to go down to the Necronomicon. Wall's pretty much perfect. And getting illusioned on everyone. Darkseer just in the middle of the entire fray, burning down everyone. And yeah, they're gonna have to retreat. It ends up being a 2 for 2 trade, trading for their carry and Wisp for 2 supports. So really not the best trade ever, but once again, not the worst. They just need to keep the pressure on. That's the point of this lineup now. You've got a Nyx, you've got a Tiny, and you've got a Wisp. Like, that's the ultimate ganking combination of doom. Meanwhile, Fear's actually just getting a couple of really nice crits off. Has his armlet up now, so hitting like an absolute truck. Gonna go ahead and Reality Rift him back in. And I don't know what this guy's doing, but he's pretty much dead. And yep, he's go ahead and dead. So that's a 5-man wipe coming out from just the sheer over-aggression from QPNB. And honestly, that was the ballsiest of all TPs I've ever seen, right into literally their entire team. And not even being able to pick off the Shadow Demon. Even though he's a little slow in his disruption, he still managed to dodge one auto attack, and that saved his life. So yeah. Tiny now, level 16. Gonna be able to just be Tiny. Actually using the replicates to punch down the tower. Very, very clever. Meanwhile, double cast onto the Nyx. However, the return damage is going to be a little bit too great, and he should fall. I don't know what this bear is doing here. This Lone Druid will probably get picked off right in the inevitable future, or not. Alright, that was a Wisp TP, so the timer exists. Just going ahead and going back over to his lane. But Io actually has his Boots of Travel. It's an interesting decision, because I would much like to see a mech instead of the Darkseer getting the mech, and then Darkseer getting the pipe and a faster Ag Scepter. But you know, each to their own. Rapier. Sorry. Meanwhile, we have a fight breaking out in the bottom or in the mid lane. Chaos Knight completely separated from the rest of his team, and the Darkseer, while doing a great job separating him off. Meanwhile, the Shadow Demon just gets completely picked off. Chaos Knight finally managed to rejoin with his team, but he just doesn't have the damage to keep surviving. Arma struggling to keep himself alive, and Bueller actually just going full man mode and will fall in this tower. AA Town gonna go ahead and use the vacuum, or use the impale right off the vacuum, but still not a good enough trade. We have a Tiny. Oh, actually, never mind. Quap with a huge sonic wave, doing tons of damage. Actually, gonna manage to get the Lone Druid pick off and the Zeus pick off shortly followed afterwards. It's now favoring side of QPNB, trading their carry for the opposing team's carry and their mid and a support. So well played out of them. I'm gonna go ahead and be able to take this T2 mid. I do like the fact that someone I saw. Oh, it's this Quap that went for the Necro Bug. Alright, that's fair enough. Necrobic actually just is a really good item against this team, just because of the fact that they're so mana reliant, except for that lone druid, that you can just like burn. If you can just burn off so much mana, then they just won't be able to do anything, and it's pretty much as simple as that. Shadow Demon actually is gone for, is going to be going for treads. Like that quite a bit. Extra HP, can't fault that whatsoever. Actually sitting at about 1,000 with a cloak, so it'll be a lot harder for that Nyx to go ahead and pick him off. He does have a relatively large int gain though. And purging the illusion. That IO is becoming pretty tanky though. I mean, he's got 1,500 gold. He's got a casual vitality booster in his inventory, unless he's going for a heart. But I highly doubt that. Actually, that'd be pretty cheeky because you could have overcharge on with the heart regen going and giving that all the tiny. Ooh, that's actually really clever. If that wisp gets that IO gets farmed enough, so that that he can go ahead and. Oh, actually, sorry. Before I can finish my train of thought, TP gank onto the lone druid. Avalanche misses, however. This lone druid is going for what I hope to be. Oh, nice entangle coming out. But they're just gonna go ahead and TP back, call it even. So this lone druid's going for what I hope is a Vlad's. Gonna disassemble that tranquil boots. Probably gonna go for double phase then. At least that's what I like to do. And everyone should be me. But this tiny 30 minutes BKB almost ag scepter. Getting the last hit brings him just a tiny bit closer. See if he has anything on the quarter. No, he does not. But regardless, 32 to 34 at the 28-minute mark is our score. See a 10k EXP lead in the favor of the Radiant. Makes sense. That's that last engagement where they just did a great job. This was the tiny kill, and yeah. So it's just been kind of out of control because they have, even though they're playing 5-man Dota, they know that they can take these fights. They know that this is their game to lose so far. Anyways, great spike carapace coming out from A-Town, realizing the Zeus was probably gonna ult. Zeus getting stunned. Meanwhile, Ogre did get picked off, and now the Zeus should get picked off. The Shadow Strike forcing the Chaos Knight back out of the lane. Meanwhile, Zeus does fall to just the absurd amount of damage. Actually, Euler blocked in by the illusions, and the vacuum does manage to bring him out, so he should be fine. Meanwhile, they have a Chaos Knight illusion that's just kind of sitting there, just enjoying life. And yes, this Quin of Pain realizing that, you know, she didn't have the best start in the entire world. Okay, Sponi's going to go ahead and get picked off here, but realizing she didn't have the best start in all of Dota ever, realized, alright, you know what I can do? I can contribute to this team. I'm going to get a Necrobook out, I'm going to start burning their mana, and even though it's just like this item that you can indirectly affect team fights. You can just go ahead and burn off a ton of a support's mana, make it so that they pretty much just have this leech on them the entire time. And the Shadow Strike makes it so that they have to constantly be getting hit by it. Mid-quaps, I'd say, shouldn't go for that, but in that kind of a situation where you're having a ton of pressure thrown onto you, maybe if you're going against like a dual lane or something like that, yeah, you can do that, but most quaps should win the 1v1 matchup in mid. It's very rare that you see a quap lose, except maybe against a puck. And shut up, Jenkins. Regardless. Let's have a pizza coming. I'm really hungry. But yeah, I felt like you should know that I have a pizza coming because it is delicious, just like this gold advantage for the favor of Radiant. 10k gold, 15k exp. Yeah, and it just kind of like it's so sad because the Dire had such a great laning start, especially with the Zeus. But the problem was he was getting pickoffs on these underleveled heroes, and just the synergy on this Dire team. Even though this Ogre Shadow Demon combo is really cool, and I've been liking it quite a bit, especially with the Zeus combination and the Veil of Discord. The burst damage out of these three semi-supports, or the two supports and the semi-support, is absolutely insane. The only problem is that other than this Ogre, the Zeus has no farm. He just doesn't have like any last hits in comparison to something like the Tiny, or even the Quap is beating him now. Thank you, Zeus. I thought it was quite funny too. You see that
Have fun.
Oh, he didn't.
Bust down radiant
He didn't even
structures
disassemble his tranquils to get that. That's just a misplay, and I'm sorry, but this lone druid just has had an awful game. And I apologize, but my pizza just arrived. Freaking clairvoyance. So what I'm going to leave is my prediction for this game, which is saying that Reidy should be taken in the next 5 minutes. Anyways, I'll be right back 2 seconds. Hello? Hello? Okay. Yeah, I'll be right downstairs.
Dire's bottom tower's getting the business. Guess what's happening to Dire's bottom tower?
Not even death can thwart my quest.
That's 4 in a row. Five in a row. 3 down. Five in a row. Roche is done for like that.
My apologies. My apologies for that, ladies and gentlemen. I thought that was gonna arrive a lot later, but I thought I'd be like, oh yeah, I'll get through this game first. You know, it's only about 45 minutes, and nope, nope. Anyways, it seems like, did I miss anything terribly important? It seems like there's a couple of really nice even traits. It's been leveling off this EXP graph quite a bit, so Dire trying to find a little bit of a stronghold back into this game. See, the Wisp actually went for a Ghost Scepter instead of finishing off that heart like I thought. That would be very funny, but still. The Zeus actually does manage to pick up his first Oblivion Staff on his way to an Orchid. That was my second idea. Meanwhile, we have a pickoff on the Nyx in the middle lane. See, actually they got Roche. Crap, well played by the Dire, realizing that Roche is pretty much one of their few options to get back in it. They pretty much need to get Roche or a pickoff and then 5-man Dota. So the Ogre is actually working towards what I guess is a Yule Scepter. Just getting the extra mana regen out. Actually a very, very well leveled Ogre. Sitting at level 14. But yeah, it looks like, yeah, easy pick off onto the Zeus. This is the problem with late game Zeus, is that he doesn't exist. He just kind of is this paperweight that unless he gets like insane items right off the bat, like if he has like a 20-minute refresher, then it's like, oh my goodness, what are you doing? Or like, how do I beat this? But Quap actually managing to pick off the Shadow Demon. I'm guessing with the Shadow Strike, because he died in a very random place. Meanwhile, triple multicast onto the Tiny, but that wall is going to go ahead and separate that Chaos Knight off from the rest of his team. Meanwhile, the Ogre Magi just kind of getting beat on constantly. This Chaos Knight looking for some way to pick off that Wisp, knowing that Wisp is pretty much one of the main issues with all these fights. This Tiny doesn't actually have his BKB, so he should be going down to this combination right here. If this person had phase boots on his bear, he would be able to phase through and actually be getting and chasing this this Tiny much more effectively. But because of this lone druid, I'm pretty much going to blame the lone druid right now. Lack of phase boots, the Tiny has to die to the Zeus. And actually, the Shadow Demon will go ahead and pick up the Queen of Pain too. Just using the Purge, I believe. The Purge combined with the Zeus ult managed to pick them off. And they defend Rax, and that's rather surprising to me. And the score is now 40-40. So, 1 kill advantage going the way of the Dire after that engagement. In terms of the impact of deaths, the QPNB are still ahead because Zeus, I believe, is bought back 2 or 3 times now, which right now I don't believe in, just because he needs to get his next big item up. He's just been completely stunted, and yeah, I mean, this is just awful farm. Let's go ahead and check net worth. See, this is typically what happens is that in these later game scenarios where you have this crazy, awesome, like, super combo at early game, it's like, oh man, we're going to disrupt somebody and put the Soul Catcher on. The Ogre Magi is going to blast him for a ton of damage, followed with the Zeus blasting for a ton of damage, and the Chaos Knight just to go and smack him to death. It's a great idea, and it's a great combination, but so much of that relies on spell damage that second that Tiny gets BKB, he's going to be, pretty much, he's going to BKB, Mask of Madness, then cleave everything to death. While that Darkseer now is going to go for, this is a very, very fed Darkseer. He's actually on top of the net worth, and I just have to applaud Quin for his performance this game. Pretty much dominating that lone druid in lane. And then, and now he's going to have his Shivas coming up pretty soon, and this is pretty much the optimal build coming out from Darkseers. What you want to do is you're going to, you'll drop your wall, vacuum them in, Shivas them so that they're slowed and they have to take the illusion damage. Then you mech and pipe your illusions so they can't even die. And then you just if you're only focusing on one person, you sheep them, and then they're super dead, so they can't even fight back. Meanwhile, we see 5 people sitting in the Dire jungle. Gonna go ahead and look for a pickoff, but the Quap, fast on her fingers, blinks away. Has her Necro 3 and her BKB up now, so should be in perfectly fine condition to deal with whatever is thrown her way. Except for maybe a 5-man gank, but still, she's feeling pretty confident. This new, not so new now, but still, Necro creep, looking pretty cool, like an evil Link. Fierce actually pretty much being the soul of his team right now. This lone druid really needs to be up here, but he's like I've been saying, he's like 2 items behind. Like, he had the possibility to just do so much this game. Solo against a Darkseer, you can do good in that lane. What you do is you suffer until level 6, get your true form up, and hope for some entangles. And you just use your bear to last hit for you. And that's really the strategy. And then you can force the Darkseer to lane with a couple of really good entangles. Or a couple of lucky entangles. But as it stands, he still doesn't have his phase boots. That's one item. And he honestly should have disassembled his tranquils to make that Vlad so he could have another phase boot. That's mistake number 2. But the third thing he's missing is this extra damage item. Yes, he's going for an AC, and that will make him and his bear tankier. However, what it lacks is the fact that it won't be making this bear do any more damage. Something like a Maelstrom. Like, notice, it does 123 damage. That's an okay amount of damage, but the Shadow Demon does 120 damage. And even though he's not attacking as fast and doesn't have a chance to entangle, it's still, that bear is supposed to be the carry, not the lone druid. And, the thing is that he needs a damage item on that bear. He needs something like a Maelstrom to have the lightning do the damage, or the Basher so he has additional lockdown, and so his team can do that extra damage, or an MKB so he can be doing that extra damage, getting the mini bashes so that he locks down even more than just the entangles. So I have to say this lone druid is just not performing nearly as well as I think he could be. We see Chaos Knight's only about 600 gold off from his heart, so that will be another pretty big item purchase, but still, just not. He does damage, but because that armlet with the illusion does a significant amount of damage, but it's just not enough to bring down this gigantic tiny, sitting on 2.7k health, a wisp constantly attached to him, who is almost at a heart now, who will be getting about, oh god, what is her regen? What is it? Restores a percentage of maximum health per second. Do you want to, oh, 2. So that'll be 42 health a second, coming back to the tiny, who already is at 3k gold, so we'll probably be looking for another big damage item. I'd be guessing something like a Daedalus. So he's going to be hitting like an extreme truck, cleaving everyone, not being able to take damage, and when he does take damage, healing it right back up. Co-op has our Necro 3 and 3.4k gold. Just everyone on the side, it's current gold, yeah, everyone on the side of the Dire, or Radiant, is pretty much rich, except for this Darkseer, who I believe should have, yeah, he has his plate mail, so he's not too concerned because he just finished his Shivas. So he's feeling pretty solid out of this so far. See that? I just totally turned on the wrong fog of war. There we go. Yeah, pretty much 20k XP lead and just over 15k gold. So I apologize, I am really hungry and there's a large pizza sitting next to me. So I'm sorry if I just get distracted for a second. It's just kind of there. It's just staring at me. Regardless though. Yeah, considering this game at a minute 30 seconds, and I think like 3 kills on it. Now we're at, I don't know, actually that's pretty much keeping the same range. Minute and a half, 3 kills. Yeah. But anyways, just about 2 kills a minute, so pretty solid game. And you know what, this does need to be turned into a bit of a farm fest. Nyx Assassin does pick up his Blink Dagger, so I do really love this build out of Nyx, not doing the standard pub, hey, I can burst you down for a little bit more damage, realizing that my team is going to be taking this into the late game. What I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to be a presence in that late game. If you just get a Dagon, you fall off in scariness. But if you can blink up, oh, sorry. Meanwhile, we have a pretty big gank on to the Chaos Knight. However, the Wisp just going away and going to go ahead and Fierce is just going to go ahead and get picked off. The Wrath of God is Thunder God's Wrath is going to go ahead and pick him off. However, that Tiny is just doing way too much damage to be dealt with right now. And we see that pretty much everyone on the side of the Radiant is just taking tons and tons of damage. Entangle does go off, but doesn't do nearly enough. This bear just not really seeming to do anything. He is going to be able to manage to pick off A-Town, I do believe. No, he runs another way. And so he'll be totally fine, while Zhao Yan will go ahead and fall. Even though that Nyx Assassin does get low, he managed to get back to base just fine. And this Tiny, the fact that Fierce just doesn't have buyback and went for this really, really greedy heart purchase, he's just going to go ahead and die, or he's just going to pretty much have caused the loss of his team now. This Masked Combatant Tiny just literally doesn't care about anything except smacking towers, and is a highly respectable attribute. Meanwhile, we do see that top racks does go down, mech goes off, so these creeps are going to be able to tank for as long as they want. Ion Shell, Vacuum, and that Tiny Cleave just pretty much says goodbye to whatever you want. Purge goes out on the Tiny, however the Hex goes back out on to Sponi. BKB gets popped just to say fuck you, and I'm not going to be taking damage from that Purge. It's going to go ahead and take out the range rack, so this is a double raxing. I believe the stat is 93% of games that result in a double raxing actually that team loses. So this is pretty much GG. Coming out of the sides of QPNB, had an awful early game, but did exactly what he needed to do, which is just say, alright, slow down, and look, they just recovered from Wisp ganks, from Nyx ganks, and what they needed was 6, and they couldn't just punish fast enough, and know that CK wasn't a big throw. I guess the CK dying was, it's not the biggest throw, but it's the horse that broke, or it's the straw that broke the camel's back. They were like very on the edge of doing okay, and then just kind of plop. There's no real way to get back into this game, though. To be perfectly frank, this lone druid just did, I believe, very subpar this game, to put it lightly. 46 minutes, you should have more than just a Vlad's and an AC. Especially if you're in this solo easy lane. Like, I can understand that farm if you're long laning, but you're against a solo Darkseer. That's not. It's a hard-ish matchup, but it's not the hardest. And yes, I'm a sheep. You did get to kill a lot of people, and I get to watch you kill a lot of people. So I am very satisfied with that. So, anyways, well done by QPNB. And this is an awkward close-up of the fountain death, but still, it exists. So now we see the molten lava, the lights beneath it. Anyways, GG, well played out of QPNB. My name has been Ditone. You can check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/DitoneDota, and Twitter at twitter.com/Ditone. And when I'm reading Twitch, twitch.tv/XESDitone. I cast quite a bit. In about 2 weeks' time, I'm going to be streaming, casting almost every day. Right now it's a bit hard because of my living conditions, but I'm going to be moving out soon. So that's good. Anyways, hope to see y'all soon. Thank you for watching once again.